The Professional Bowlers Tour from San Jose, California. We move now to our second match of the afternoon. This is Don Johnson from Kokomo, Indiana, a 28-year-old, six-time champion, and he is now going to meet John Guenther, who defeated Buzz Fazio in the first match of the day. And let's see what the Kokomo kid can do. And he opens with a strike. Don Johnson, wife, Mary Ann, watching today, I am sure, in Akron, Ohio. And they are about to have, in their family, their first baby within the month. John Guenther, who just defeated Buzz Fazio. Well, if hoping will do it, there was a wagon load of hope in that one. Both men striking in their opening frame.
There's a great advantage of the speed, Keith. He's trying to keep it slower, getting that mixing pin action, and he was to the right of his target that time, but being slow allowed the ball to move back.
John Guenther in the second frame. Two in a row for John. John has won 3 times. That's exactly how he wins. Speed is such an important thing, and even the pros lose that touch a little bit. I know that Don Carter last week expressed his gratitude toward our statistician, Harry Smith, for his help in getting him straightened out. Don Johnson. Again, you see the factor of speed entering into it.
That's the very important factor here, Keith. You can see the ball hits very light, or what we call thin. Just barely touches the head pin. But because it's slow, it gives the pins a chance to mix back and forth off of the sideboard. Since Don Johnson uses more hook, plays a wider angle, you see he's standing to the extreme left on the approach, catching the track much later.
Well, I think the groan from the crowd tells the story.
Speaking of catching the track later, the ball did break too late. Therefore, you see it deflect drastically to the right, and in deflecting, does not get the proper pin action. You can see how the pin falls short of the 10 and the 5 there, of course, missing the 8. So, disaster, the 8-10 split.
And Don Johnson is open in the third frame with a total of 56 pins through 3, and he trails by 14 pins as John Guenther steps up on the right lane, frame 3. Solid. 3 in a row for John, builds his lead to 24 pins. Got to be talking with Buzz Fazio, as time will allow a little later. I know that you'll enjoy hearing the comments of a great competitor. That comes later today, too. Split the screen for you. Watch the man and the ball.
There you see, Keith, he is playing almost as deep on the left lane as is Don Johnson, but he is not circling it. In other words, he is not going as far to the right, expecting the ball to hook back. He's going a little more direct.
And you can see he's got 4 in a row. Now let's watch Don Johnson. At age 28, 5'10", 150 pounds. Again, great mixing action to get his strike. Don Johnson. We asked him, why is everything falling in place for you this week? Why the hot hand? This is what he said.
Well, I like the inside line, and it's working real well for me this week. And also, I'm going to be a father in about 3 weeks, so I figured I better get on the ball and start making some money.
So you see, Marianne, he's thinking about the future. And he leaves the 7 in the 4 in the 5th frame.
And there you see, speaking of going more direct, it comes in and catches a little too much of the head pin, goes a little too high, breaking too sharply, and the 2 goes around the 4.
Don, the leading qualifier. Trying to pick up the 4, and he does. So there you see, 76th through the 4th frame with a spare up in the 5th, and John Guenther now in the 5th frame, leading by 34 pins. Five in a row for John Guenther.
He's got his speed control just perfect now, Keith. The ball broke back very nicely for him. Started a little to the right. Ball then takes effect. The friction grips the lane, and the spin that he imparts from those fingers. And he knows it's a good one there. You can see from his expression. He's pulling for all 10. He doesn't want to get tapped.
Leading by 44, 6th frame, John Guenther. In a row. Guenther's lead now substantial, 54 pins over Don Johnson. Pressure is now on the Kokomo Kid. Well, each week it looks like you've got somebody making a run at that perfect game and $10,000 in the new Cougar. This week it's Johnny Guenther. Same kind of a split he had a moment ago.
Exactly, Keith. He is circling. He is starting the ball from his left, going more to the right, and allowing for it to move back to the left. He's doing this because the track breaks sharply for him at the pocket, where Johnny Guenther has elected to use a little more direct angle.
So Don Johnson through 6, totals 102. And he is now down by 78 pins.
It takes a little finer touch to play that type of circle from the inside, but Don has had it this week in stretches. He bowled 280 and 268 back to back, and he is that type of explosive player.
And Don Johnson with a strike in the 7th. Take a look at him in slow motion.
Has a very fine arm swing, Keith. There you see, puts the ball in motion, fully extended. The arm passes his sliding leg at the leverage point.
Now, here is the man of the moment, John Guenther, out of Fresno. He has 6 strikes in a row in the 7th frame. He is still alive. I'll tell you, that is as close to being the last gasp as anything I've ever seen, Billy.
Keith, we speak about bowling being a game of timing and coordination, not one of force and power. And you do not need the mighty arm. You need the tender touch, and never could you tell it more necessary than that last strike.
7 strikes in a row for Johnny Guenther. He's in the 8th frame on the left lane. And the crowd has come alive as John Guenther has 8 strikes in a row.
There you see it, a string of 8, and we would like to remind our viewers that we did have 3 300 games here already during competition this week.
Don Johnson on the right lane, and he has his 2nd strike in a row, striking in the 7th and again in the 8th. Don won the Japanese Invitational last year in Tokyo and the Portsmouth, Virginia Open. He has 6 sanctioned 300 games.
And there you see he has elected to go straighter with a little more speed rather than to circle, but I think it's going to be a little bit late for him.
Now everybody settles down, including Don Johnson, to watch this man, John Guenther, with 8 strikes in a row. 9th frame.
I think that was the key, Keith. He very well could do it now. He favors the left lane.
Well, we're kind of in a position of where you are sometimes at the old ball yard. When your fellow's got a no-hitter going, do you talk about it? Of course you talk about it. He knows it. 9 strikes in a row. The man on the ball. See what happens to those pins. This is the 10th frame. 10 in a row for Johnny Guenther.
Very confident, too, Keith. He likes that angle. He's playing it direct, catching the track late. The ball is settling in the pocket. I think we could very well see him do it here, Keith.
Johnny Guenther has 10 strikes in a row. This is the 11th.
That's it, Keith. When you get that 11, the crowd really comes alive because they know that now this is it. There you see it. 11 big strikes in a row. And now for the all-important 12. $10,000 and a new Cougar, all on this ball.
There's nothing left to say. Let's just watch it.
There you see it. It tells the story. The crowd tells the story. A perfect 300 game.
Johnny Guenther, congratulations. Turn around here so we can take a good look at him. Take a look at one of the happiest men you'll ever see in your life. Johnny, tell us, how many times have you done this in sanctioned competition?
Just twice before, Keith. Both of them in Seattle. I don't know I can't explain how I felt throw that last ball. You couldn't hear a thing, and I was kind of trying to concentrate on how I threw the last 2 shots to throw the same shot again. It's nerve-wracking.
You know, of course, you get a new Cougar.
I sure do.
You know what this is?
I have an idea.
Is a check for $10,000 for your perfect game.
You notice my hand is shaking a little. Thank you very much, Keith. Wonderful.
Johnny, thank you. One of the great thrills in sports, Johnny Guenther, a perfect game in competition, and he will continue. We'll be meeting in just a moment the latest man to bowl a 300 game in competition, so we'll have the action live from San Jose, California, right after this timeout.